Thank you all for coming this morning, and thank you to the VFW Hall for allowing us to use this as the place for signing our latest piece of legislation that will hopefully help veterans. I have Jamie Fry here from Hockessin Green with his family. If you'd like to come up front, bring everybody. Just a little history on how we got to this point. Jamie emailed me about 2-3 months ago and asked about the possibility of looking at his taxes, and he had done some research and understood that in other counties that there were exemptions for veterans that had 100% disability. And I began at that point to write a piece of legislation that would have helped Jamie. It would have given him the residency exemption. In this county, you have to have lived here 3 years before you're eligible for any exemption. So as I started to write that piece of legislation, the county executive then came and said, if we're going to try to help one person, why aren't we trying to help all veterans? So from there, we switched gears completely and we went to something that would be much more comprehensive for all veterans in the county. So I present to you today our county executive, Matt Meyer.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman Kilpatrick, Jamie, what's his name? Bennett, and family. And thank you all of you for coming today. Today is about something really, really important. There are certain things in this job that really are about the dignity of who we are as individuals and who we are as a community. In 2010, I spent a year as a diplomat working for the U.S. government, embedded with the U.S. military on a military base in Mosul, Iraq during wartime. I will never forget my first week in Iraq. I went to the combat support hospital on the base, and there was a soldier there, a young soldier, 19 years old, less than a year out of high school, who had taken shrapnel in his leg. I will never forget standing next to the colonel on my base, the commanding officer of my base, and having that young man in extreme pain sit up, salute the commanding officer next to me, and as we asked him questions, all he wanted to know was when he could get back with his platoon, when he could get back out with his team to serve our country. Walking out of that combat support hospital, we were told by the medical doctor of that unit that that young man was likely to lose his leg. It is a national embarrassment that individuals like that young man, like Jamie Fry, are not coming home and are not treated like heroes. Today is about taking one small step to recognize their service. What we're doing is we're saying there are a number of senior exemptions, senior property tax exemptions, disability property tax exemption, and actually there is previously a veterans disability property tax exemption. What we're doing today is we are, thanks to the great work of Councilwoman Kilpatrick and the sponsorship of Councilman Hollins, we are eliminating the residency requirement. So we say, as soon as you come to this county, if you've served our country and are fully disabled, you get that property tax exemption from day one that you are here. It's really important to us. It's really important to who we are as a community. I wanted to add a little bit more about Jamie because his service is something that caused us to be here today, and it's something we should all recognize. He raised his hand and volunteered to be a Marine Corps Reserve. He served from 2006 to 2011. He was trained as a motor vehicle operator, tractor-trailer operator, aviator, structural mechanic, helicopter airframe mechanic, and a logistics vehicle systems operator. In short, I think he knows a lot more than I know. He was injured in 2006 and was in a coma for a month. Believe it or not, he was back to full duty in October 2008, and he deployed in 2009, is that right, to Afghanistan and served us in Afghanistan. He's one of many here in the county, here in the state, and across this country who have provided service to us so that we can live freely today, and it's very important that we recognize them. I also want to highlight that one of the sponsors of this bill served for 5 years, 10 months, 126 days, including two deployments to Southeast Asia. And I'd like to ask Councilman Penrose Hollins to come on up and say a few words.
Good morning. Good morning. It is certainly a point of privilege for me to join the county executive and my colleague on county council, as well as the Fry family and all of you this morning to unveil what Newcastle County is doing to show our appreciation to our veterans. I didn't realize that the county executive had this history on me down to the extent that he does. I am a veteran, as he mentioned, but you need not be a veteran to appreciate the service and the sacrifice that the veterans have made all over this country to ensure our democracy and our way of life and our freedoms here in the United States of America. When I joined the service, there were many like me across this country who saw the service as an opportunity. The service, even though with the innate dangers of perhaps going to war, for a lot of folk in my generation, it was an opportunity. I represent people who stood up for this country when this country did not stand up for them. But I feel that it's something that we all should do, all of us here in this country, is to show our respects to the services and the sacrifice that our veterans have made. When you enter the military, there is what is called basic training. And basic training, essentially, it prepares you in a lot of different ways. It prepares you to be more disciplined in your life. It also prepares you for mental toughness. It prepares you for physical endurance. And there was one part of basic training, it's called the obstacle course. And the obstacle course is really designed to help you survive in the event that you're in war. So the obstacle course, basically you go through and you have to overcome these obstacles, and it's a simulation of the types of obstacles that you would face in a war. But once you come back home as a veteran from wherever you may have been, these obstacles should no longer be a part of your life. So today what Newcastle County is trying to do, make certain that we are going to remove the obstacles from the veterans to make certain that they can continue to have the quality of life that they have earned and they deserve. And in closing, I would just remind all of us that 2 days ago we celebrated the 50th anniversary of Dr. Martin Luther King assassination. And Dr. King told us that any day is a good time to do what is right. So today is a very good time to do what is right, and we are here in Newcastle County doing what is right by our veterans. So thank you very much.
Yeah, the Veterans of Foreign Wars are a critical institution to welcoming our veterans home, making sure they have a sense of community when they come home. They're also our hosts for today. So I wanted to welcome the former post commander here, Matt Hoops.
I'm very pleased and proud to be a member of the VFW and to host this historic event. Helping our veterans is something the VFW and our local post here in Hockessin has done over the years. We are glad to have celebrated our 70th year last year. We look forward to another 70 years of helping our veterans, and I'm glad we could support this effort. Thank you.
Also, we're going to have Dave Skosik from the Delaware Veterans Coalition. Come on up. Thank you.
Councilwoman Kirkpatrick and Councilman Hollins. You may have seen me embrace him. He's a Vietnam era vet. I'm a Vietnam veteran. Welcome home, brother.
Sorry.
Hoorah to the Marines. I'm retired. I served in 3 branches, the Air Force, the Army Guard here in Delaware, and finally retired from the Navy Reserve. People said, you missed the Marines. I said, somebody has to go in first, and it wasn't me. But thank you for the Marines. One of the things that I did, I was mobilized in 2003 for Operation Iraqi Freedom, but I was sent to the National Naval Medical Center in Bethesda, which is now called Walter Reed because they combined. I was mobilized for security, but the first 3 months of a 10-month tour, because of my background in public relations, I became a media liaison coordinator for our wounded Marines, and sat through many interviews. You always have to have somebody in public affairs when you're doing an interview and make sure nobody is asked or answer a question above their pay grade, so to speak. I could write a book about the stories. And I think that we definitely owe a debt of gratitude to all who serve. The military, and this is also to to the commander of the post and to my fellow veterans out here, some of whom I know, that the military people bring a lot to wherever they live. Every state is to their benefit to attract them. Because not only do they bring vision and leadership and appreciation and love of country, but the benefits alone that they bring. We did some calculations here in Delaware between when a veteran lives here, the money that he or she brings in for retirement, for disability, for medical care. We have the big old hospital there that makes a lot of jobs. For educational benefits, comes to around $2 billion a year to the Delaware economy. Anything that legislators can do to attract veterans to stay here is well worth it. So I wanted to just say thanks so much for I've seen so many folks like you, and I think basically the only regret, and I think this is all branches, not just the Marines, that people have, is I want to get back in the fight. Is that this is something that's what they all expressed, is that guilt that they that they were sent home. So I want to say thank you very much to the county council for doing whatever they can for our veterans. And again, I'm honored to be here, and thank you so very much.
Next, we're very fortunate here in Delaware to have an active chapter of NAVVETS, and I'd like to invite Nolan Lewis, the commander of the Delaware chapter, to come on up.
First, good morning. Thank you to County Executive, Councilman Hollis, and Councilman Kilpatrick, VFW President. Thank you for this honor or the invite. I myself am a veteran. I'm not a Vietnam veteran, but I'm a disabled veteran. And I do appreciate the bill being signed today. We are a service provider organization, and we help all veterans. As you know, there is no color when it comes to veterans. And there are a lot of issues that we still need to address, but we're here to fight the fight. And again, I appreciate the invite for the signing. And being a disabled veteran myself, this is a wonderful piece of legislation for the residents of Newcastle County. Thank you.
All right, now it's time to end the speeches and get to work. Let's go sign something. Okay.
Jason, can you bring them up? Of course. Lindsay, bring them up. Come on up. Come on, sweetie. Here, you can come by. You can come by, Daddy. Come on. There you go. There you go. That's right.
Remember that pen. Right?
Can you smile?
There you go.
Oh, she got you.
And here's the.
All right.